Oxnard, California. Mickey, the Cowboys have had their first couple of days of workouts and arriving, and the State of the Union address that Jerry gives every year, and everybody kind of freaks out about because he says Jerry things. And then when you ask the players, and I get, if you're in contract negotiations, if you're Trayvon Diggs, who, that had to probably sting a little bit, but I think most of them, when they're like, well, when you hear him say that, they're like, that's just the old man. That's Jerry doing Jerry things. If they got mad about it, they would never show up to work, I'm sure.
Well, as far as Diggs go,
yeah,
he got a contract.
Yeah.
That should not have been a surprise, and he didn't follow the contract. So it wasn't like they fined him. They just deducted it from his $9 million base salary. So, he said he was surprised. I guess he was surprised that they actually were going to do it. Probably didn't think that would happen. But, 500,000 is 500,000. And he acted like it was chump change. So I guess he didn't need it.
Yeah. So, Mickey, George Pickens, it was funny hearing I heard Joe Hoyt had a quote from CeeDee Lamb about getting to know George Pickens. The risk factor on George Pickens is that he's an emotional young fella, right? He gets really fired up. He's had some maturity issues, but he has said, hey, if people get to really know me, I think they'll kind of understand where I'm coming from. And it seems like CeeDee Lamb has taken that step so far and that they're getting along pretty well.
No, I think they're getting along famously. As a matter of fact, to me, I think that the move to bring George Pickens to the Cowboys, I think, has changed the perception of what this offense is or what it can be. How many offenses out there have two number one receivers? And he's a number one receiver. And they seem to be coexisting awfully well, not only during the offseason, but so far here in these 3 non-padded practices that they've already have. It's amazing to watch this work. I thought Schottenheimer had a great quote. He said that if defenses are going to try to man George Pickens, he's open. So, and Dak's had a great connection with those two guys. And if there's a highlight to training camp so far, it's the ability to throw the football to your 2 top wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm very curious because of the way that they've tried to, develop a guy and some of the ones they have. They kind of drafted a bunch of guys who were number 3 wide receivers at best and hope they took the next step. This is something different than they've had on the roster probably since Amari Cooper left, right? Having 2 guys with the skill sets this level.
I would say so, but then think about it. When Amari was here, CeeDee was just a rookie, right?
Yeah.
He hadn't really blossomed yet. And then the reason they let him go was because of CeeDee, and they saw what he could be. But Brandon Cooks was a good sidekick, but he, at this point in his career, he was no George Pickens. And there was a pass today, Dak threw a slant, and I guarantee you he threw the ball before Pickens put his foot in the ground to cut in. And it was a completion on the run. It was amazing to see. And this connection with those 2 guys is going to be a serious boost to this offense. And unlike last year, CeeDee's been here. He's playing football in training camp for the first time since 2023. Yeah. And even he admitted that he was oblivious to maybe what his holdout was creating, not being here in camp. And basically, as he said, tailoring what I need to do to what Dak Prescott wanted. So, when you talk about the running game, first and foremost, defenses are going to have to stop the passing game.
Yeah. Veteran offensive linemen can skip training camp for a few weeks and step in and maybe hit it faster, but that chemistry that has to develop between quarterback and receiver is through so much repetition. The offensive linemen have their own way of getting the reps. It's a different thing mentally and physically, as where it's like shooting free throws after practice, running routes and all those things. That's just a different skill set of the game that you lose when you're not there for a month. It's a month. So you're talking about thousands and thousands of routes that just you're not getting back until the next year.
And it's not just the reps you get in training camp. It's what you missed in the off season, in the OTAs and the mini camps, right?
Yeah.
And it took a while. He said CeeDee pointed out that he didn't feel like they were like hooked together, same page, until the San Francisco game. Mm-hmm. I'd have to look to see which game that actually was. 5, maybe 6 into the season.
Yeah.
There's a serious connection between those 3 guys going on right now. And, the pads don't come on until Sunday. So, what I say, you might want to kind of qualify it. But at least, if they were playing 7-on-7 football or flag football, they would be pretty dynamic.
Yeah. Mickey, the other interesting thing when it comes to wide receivers is, that 3-4 situation. Kevontae Turpin, obviously, like, they really have tried to figure out, like, can he be a guy who's regularly on the field as a wide receiver and not just in certain sets? They traded for Jonathan Mingo last year, who's a guy that they thought very highly of when he was getting drafted. And they still really like Jalen Tolbert. And Jalen Tolbert is a glue guy in the way that maybe they haven't had since Cedric Wilson left, that can maybe do a lot of things and has improved in each year. What do you expect to see out of that and how that shakes out over who's maybe the fit there for the third spot?
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to be a static third guy.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a rotation depending on what they're trying to accomplish. But so far, Shoddy's been a man of his word, trying to get Turpin more involved in the offense and not just handing him the ball on jet sweeps. They're throwing the ball, and he has an ability to show off his speed, and it's still there, believe me. And Tolbert, steady as he went, I think people forget, he led the team in touchdown receptions last year. Mingo, I've always had this idea when they were at practice, and remember, he didn't get there till
November, right?
At the trade deadline, right? Yeah. And it was like the passes that would go to him, the little bit he played, they were like almost. Well, they're no longer almost. They're completing passes to Mingo down the field. And getting the wide receivers, the running backs involved in the offense, getting Miles Sanders out in space, getting Jaden Blue out in space, that's pretty good. And I haven't even brought up the tight ends yet. And finally, Ferguson is healthy. He doesn't have anything slowing him down. Overshown is looking like he gets it now. And Brevin Spain Ford is really pushing to be that third tight end. So this could be a pretty prolific passing game if they can stay healthy.
You and I talked about it before, Mickey. Tight end is a very interesting position for the Cowboys long term because Ferguson's a free agent. Schoonmaker is now at the point where he's got to show what – they're not going to just kick him to the curb. He's got to show what he can do, or they're going to invest if Ferguson leaves in someone else. Right. And then they've got Brevin Spanford, who you said is doing really well. So I'm interested to see how that happens, especially with Ferguson in a contract year. That's very intriguing for what, again, he's playing for the contract, which usually turns out to be at least interesting statistically for these guys.
Yeah. And I know you're looking ahead.
Yeah.
They got to take care of today.
Exactly,
right?
But it is but there's there's a little urgency on that position.
Let me get Overshown doing because he might be my guy next year. I don't think they're looking at that way, and you can see what happens with Ferguson if you're able to keep him or you draft another guy. because you need 3 tight ends, right?
Yeah.
And you can't pay all 3, that's for sure. But again, next year you're going to say, well, Ferguson's not here. Overshone's in the last year of his contract. So, it's just kind of a revolving door. I think they just worry about what's going on this year.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but it is an interesting thing when it comes to health of guys. Mickey, do you have a gauge on, when we might see full participation from Revel and Diggs and Micah?
I can tell you, Sam Williams is ready to play football.
Oh yeah, I've seen some
People
clips.
forget about him, right?
Oh yeah.
And he's been very disruptive out there. I think Revel, just watching him rehab, it could very well be next week. He seems to be moving well.
Yeah.
But even if he gets out and they put the pads on, they're going to kind of regulate his snaps and not throw him into the deep end right away. Josh Butler, another guy they put on PUP and played a little bit last year before he tore his ACL, and that didn't happen until December, so he's probably still got a ways to go. And as for Diggs, they placed him on PUP, and again, they're going to have to ramp him up when he's ready to go. I don't know that he's ready to go next week. I get the feeling, just talking to people, that they feel like he would have been further along if he had rehabbed at the Star instead of on his own.